model number with KIT after the end of it. That's something we started quite a few years ago. So it makes it a little bit easier now. Okay. Everyone comes with a little miniature version of what I gave you. Oh, this is very good. This is nice because we talked about the different glands. These are the glands. And I see now what we're doing is you notice there's two different ones. Okay? Yep. This is the old style that actually threaded together. This right here is this upper section. Let me see. Nope. This is the one that uses the internal retaining ring. You take that ring out, and then all of this comes right out. You put a new seal in there, it's a little aluminum sleeve and the retaining clip. The clip's a pain in the neck to get out. Real pain in the neck, because it's a very small clip. Normally, when you take it apart, you're going to destroy it. The new clip comes in here so you can replace it. This is the newer style with the outside retaining clip, and they actually use that clip. It's a little spiral lock. They use that as the shoulder for the O-ring seal. Because once it goes in, this is considered what we call a static seal. It goes in, and it doesn't move. So as long as you get it in, you don't ruin it putting it in, it's probably never going to leak on you. So we give you the... Oh, this has got a good lead in.
Do you backup rings?
Yeah, I'd rather leave them on if we can. Because then they like this, right? And put it on just like this, and then you can roll it right past. Bring it down here, and you can actually just roll them like this. And get it right into the groove. Otherwise, you're trying to roll, and then you get it in, and then you got to go start trying to pick on it again, and then you make an awful mess. And you can pop that one right over if you can, but I just don't like to get them into the wrong groove and then have to use a pick to get them back out of there again, because you can end up damaging them. Okay.
You can have as many swads as you want.
What's that?
You made a tool for me, so you can have as many swads as you want.
Okay. That's a good deal. I just want to make sure there's no chips or anything in here. I don't think there is. Yeah, we don't want to ruin that piston. That looks pretty good in there. Okay. The grease that I like to use is silicone. Can you see that right there? Silicone usually has a little bit of a pink tint to it, like an axle grease.
Yeah.
So grease up.
The good thing about Vaseline too, it dissolves in the transmission fluid, which you put in these.
Right. So
it works good that way too.
So anything that gets in it.
Yeah.
Now, if that's right, that should fit fairly. I mean, it does. It's got a nice squeeze to it. It's not, you know. Let's get our cross arm back on, and we won't have to worry about it. I'll move this over here so you don't.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
We got to get that thing down there first, right?
Right.
I'll hold it down for you once we get it in.
Okay.
Whoops. There. Now you can. Trick to getting them in is hold that.
Hold the top down.
Yeah.
Upside down.
Only goes one way. Well, I suppose you could get it the wrong way, but nothing's going to work very well. One thing I would recommend for you guys, whenever you, who's that again? Is that you again?
No, that's
ours. Yeah.
If you, whenever you're going to take the gland out, make sure you do have the cross arm screw out. Very rarely I've ever seen it happen, but once in a while, if the hole position or the screw is a little bit too long for some reason or other, especially on the older tools, the newer ones you won't have it.
Could you just turn that around so I can see where you were screwing there? Oh, that's good.
You just put in the cross arm screw.
Okay, thanks.
Okay? Okay, next, let's get the quad ring back onto the piston, and we'll get it greased up. We'll get the cylinder greased up. And we'll get it all back together. Just clean out the groove here to get the look bad. Actually, we can hold it right like this. You don't have to put it in the vise for that.
Okay.
Somebody had this tool's been completely apart.
It's pretty bad. Huh?
Well, that's what that is you can tell that somebody put grease on that when they put it back together.
Yeah, I know.
Which is a good thing, you know. It's just
right.
Okay, what I like to do here is before we do anything is put a little bit of the silicone in here, and I usually just use my fingers to smush it around, and then I wipe off my hands, but let's just put a little bit of, that you don't even see, it's not even built up that much when I put it in.
Great.
It'll be interesting to see if we still have a leak. If we do, then we got a problem in here, and that's a whole nother thing that we can't handle today. But we can get everything else done, and we get the parts sent in.
Right in?
Yep. And you can't tell until you put it all back together.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going to know. Okay, now what we're going to do here is you can either push it down by hand, like that, or you can tap it. I like to do that way, because if I can push it in, you know I didn't hurt anything. That's a good snug fit. Yeah. Okay, what do we got left?
Base plate.
That's right. Now, this base plate, let's put some grease on it.
Okay.
It goes in nowhere near as hard as it came out, but it still goes in. It's still a pain in the neck to put in. When you work on 245, the smaller one, much easier taking them out and putting them back in, because your back cap is only about that big around versus, and the O-ring is a much smaller O-ring. That's a pretty big O-ring, as you can see. There's a lot of squeeze on that. Now, try to put one of your screw holes right even with the, because if you look at your bottom plate,
All right.
now you can move it afterwards, but it's just easier to do it all now. And sometimes you can, see how it pops out on you? So I could pull that back out again if I want. Which you can do this, you just have to be careful, don't get crazy. You can pry it back up. Let's put it in the vise this time.
Must be all the way down?
No, it doesn't matter. We're going to put the air on it before we
Okay.
have to worry about anything else. Now, as you push this down, it's going to be a pain. So what I recommend is you kind of just got to, now it's lots of times it'll tip on you. So what you got to do is you got to kind of work it and keep pushing it in with your finger. Like that. Okay, it's the biggest O-ring that you're ever going to use on any Huck tool. Once you get it to that point, now it's in. Spiral lock. So I don't know if you ever worked with one or not. Put it in like a slinky. Don't ever put that edge. Try to keep the whole ring so that none of your edges fit over here, because then it goes in that hole. And now the best way to put, just so you know, on the bigger ones, just tip it like that and it'll go right in. Remember those days when you were a kid and you used a slinky on the steps? Okay? Now we're going to put a nice brand new seal. You don't need anything on there other than...
O-ring?
Yep. We don't need it, but we're going to put it on. Let's clean off this bottom a little bit. There's 3 different O-rings. But you can use any one of them small O-rings. It really isn't going to make a difference.
That's not creepy.
That one there fits nice and snug.
Right. That's one of the better ones.
Yeah, normally they just pop in.
Now, these are the 4 shorter screws. If you look at all your screws, if we can find them all after having them all out. Okay. Ugh, boy, pretty darn sticky. You know, it didn't work, so they put a spring just to help assist.
How tight do I want this?
Just snug it.
Yeah. Mark one, you can turn it down to.
Okay. Because we left the spring out, we'll just drop that spring right in, and you'll see the spring just makes it, helps assist come back up. Helps assist it. Screwdriver.
Thank you.
So now we're going to put air back to it when he's done putting the cross arm in, and we're going to listen, make sure it cycles and listen for air leaks. If we still have the air leak that we had before, then it means that we have bushings that are actually blowing by internally. And we don't have the parts to change that here. We can get the parts in to do it. Right?
Yep.
I hope so. Okay, so in that position, we're in good shape. But I think we were before in that position.
Yeah, I was leaking before, right?
Okay, quiet. Now the reason it moves so slow is it's the volume of air coming out of this compressor too. Right, well it's not that it's not a good compressor, it's just that this takes a lot of CFM. This is more the culprit than anything. You've got enough there, but the inside diameter of this is metering down how fast the air gets in. We recommend, I think, like a 3/8 ID or something. You know, pretty good sized hose. Okay? So the air leaking out of the bottom was probably between the quad ring on the piston and more than anything right here. And they looked pretty bad when I took them out. They had some flat spots on them.
Just change that.
Just so you can, I don't know if you want to see, but that's...
Oh, okay, cool.
That's the O-ring.
There's a nut hole in the screw.
Super, super.
There's nut behind the wheel. Okay, now,
Cycle it out.
before we even bother cycling it, let's get a little grease on here. We have to get this in first. This gland can be anywhere from being not a problem to being the biggest, almost as bad as that bottom plate. If you look, and I'm going to try to show you, I don't know if he's going to be able to get this on tape or not. If you look right here, can you see that pretty good on the video?
Yeah.
You'll see that there is a chamfer right here. I'm going to say 30 to 45 degree chamfer. If you have that nice big chamfer, then this will go together fairly easy. Okay? If this is a sharp edge in here and there is no chamfer, you're going to have a lot of trouble getting it together. In the old days, we made a little fixture that you could put it in, and actually to get it down, push a little piece of rag down in here and get yourself a little angle stone with a Dremel and just lightly build your own chamfer. Again, right here, right on that top edge of that stainless steel sleeve.
Yeah.
Now, you got to remember, the O-rings are going to be sitting down in here somewhere, so you're not going to hurt anything. Just a nice small chamfer around, and then this thing will go back together for you. You shouldn't have trouble with the newer ones, but some of the early 245s and the older ones.
Nice straight top on it.
Yep, let's put just a little bit of grease on that. Okay. Not a lot, just a little, and we're going to put it in like this. And I can tell you right now, it's going to go pretty good because of the chamfer. Now, that one popped in. If you get one that doesn't want to pop in, and you can see the backup ring, I'm going to get over here, you'll see the backup ring kind of expand out.
Cut it.
Right, what I recommend is don't pound it, don't do any of that. You'll cycle it up, put the screw in, and put a little, run it down till you feel a little tiny bit of, because we're going to put the screw back in, and he's got the new O-ring on there. We're going to take and just put it right there, and now we're going to cycle the tool up, cycle it up, and hold it up. There's no oil in it now, so we don't have to worry. Now, he's going to run that in while it's being held down. He's going to run that in. What I was explaining before is if you can't get the gland in, you get it into the O-ring, but the upper backup ring is trying to push out, what I recommend is bring it down till it's snug with the screw, then get a very sharp scribe and just work on the little backup ring and then tighten a little and work. And what you'll do is you'll work that ring down in. Because we had a nice chamfer on here, it's not a problem.
How tight you want this?
Now what I would do on this is you make it tight, right? Then let it go and cycle it a few times. Lift it up off the bench, just so, yeah. I always cycle it a few times and then bring it back up. And what I'll do is you can set it back down. Just when you're on here, it blows all over. Yeah. And then I give it another snug like that, and that's it. You got to remember, the only reason I'm tightening it is just to keep it from loosening up. It's not making a seal or anything. The O-ring is sealing around the outside. So now we have a complete lower unit that's ready to go. And we can set this aside and we'll work on the head. And then we'll get it all back together. Yeah. We can put the guard on right now before we get done. It's a very good observant.
Yeah.
This uses one long and one short. Short goes in the side, and the long goes down.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Yeah, something.
You look on your print, it always shows sizes, and I mean, the prints are, these right here are just scales, so you can look and you can tell the length of the screw by looking at it. You like those big drawings, huh, Mario?
Yeah. Those are cool.
I can actually see them from here without even...
Especially we had flatter walls around.
Flower walls?
Flatter walls.
Oh.
Set all those pipes.
All that electricity there. The easiest thing is to take this little stall nut that I brought with us, that came, or you could use your collet, you know, the part that you took out of the nose, and you want to just move this, oops, get all the oil out of it. This is a
New version.
This is the old one, and you might go. Now, actually, this is going to be even harder to see, but this is the new style. They both work. So let's take out both of those check valves. We'll get them all out of there. Yeah. I hate it when I do this stupid stuff. What I don't do for the good of the company. This is what is known in our industry as an industrial accident, and the cleaning bill will go right to the company.
Do you want to take the spring and everything?
Okay, where's the
Wait.
check valve?
Okay, okay, yeah, there's, you took that out, and I'm gonna just, yep, take that out. There's a lightweight spring, and I'm gonna tap this now. You should be able to see the ball and spring hopefully come out, or ball and guide. There's the guide. Now, you notice the ball's not coming out.
Is there a magnet?
No, what happens is it gets stuck to the seat sometimes. So if you can go in here with something long enough, which I may,
Yeah, that's part of.
but, you know, if you listen, sometimes, sometimes you'll hear,
That's the ball.
sometimes you'll actually hear it. Now, no, we can take this out, but right now all that is that's just a plug. So there's no really reason to take that out.
Same as the one on this one.
Right, and that side right there is just a plug. Okay, now you can take the biggie out. The biggie boy. Yeah, not, unless they really went crazy.
Phil.
Yeah,
Blood and
accidentally.
That's dumb.
They don't need to be that tight.
Spring loaded too.
Yeah, but actually when it's right, this is Hank's new spring that you'll see that it doesn't start to compress till it starts to screw down.
Yeah, right.
The old ones,
Yeah, I know.
whoever does.
You're down the road for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna take out the, now what you have in here
Spring in.
is a little bit smaller ball.
3/16, right?
Yep. And the short guide, and a big fat spring. Okay? That's what you have for the check valve. Then also in here is a sleeve that came out. And what that sleeve does, what that sleeve does is that sleeve, your O-ring, or your O-ring, your spring goes up inside the guide. This goes like that. And the other side of this sits up against the seat that's inside of here. The seat that's in there that the ball sits on, because it's such a high pressure seat, it's removable. Because you can get a seat that goes bad on you. What happens when a seat goes bad? You end up with a chronic drift. We talked about drift being caused by that piston not being able to stop. If you take a tool apart and you rebuild everything, right? And it goes back out on the floor and comes back 2 hours later or a day later with a drifted piston, and you can't find anything wrong, and you send it back out and it does it again, then that means you have a chronic drift, which is 99% of the time it's going to be that seat that's in here. You can look down in there, it's kind of hard to tell, but it should be it's a lapped finish, real sharp edge seat. They'll drop a ball in there, they'll coin it once just to clean that edge up. So when you look in there, you can kind of tell if it looks beat up. Or there's a seal in there too, which could be leaking. So what we recommend is only if you have a chronic drift you're going to get into that seat. We put this tool back together and it all works beautiful, and he takes it back and he has no problems, then you're not ever going to mess with that seat if you wanted to. To get the seat out,
Well, we don't have a replaceable seat.
no, I'm not going to take it out, but I'm going to show you. This, well, this comes out. The only reason we're not going to mess with it is because somebody if you look here, it's been dented.
Oh, so it might.
See right there? Right. Normally, to change the seat, we can pull this out, and there's a little tiny plug in here. The plug has what we call a timing device. It actually has a little pin in it. It can only fit in one way, and that's because the port gets drilled right through that plug. So you take that out, and then you can take and drive the seat right straight out. The seat is very simple. I'm going to get up here. This is the seat right from here to here, and it has two backup rings and O-ring, just like that, just like this right here that we took out earlier.
Good man.
Just keep twisting off with your hands.
That's twisting it.
They'll never know.
You can take this right out now. There you go.
Yeah, there is.
You could turn on that all day.
Nobody can see that side, see?
Never saw that happen. Hey, can
Boy, you got a lot of
I forgot to do that one.
O-ring.
Okay, eccentric piston. Rear gland. Okay? That's it. Now you have a piston with two backup rings and an O-ring. And oh boy, no wonder the O-ring on this is a little on the flat side from being in there so long. It has internal seals. external seals. So your piston seals on the internal, and then the external seals on the cylinder wall. You notice the angle always goes towards the piston, the face of the piston, because what that's going to do is that gives you room for the oil to come down to get around it, to go do the return. You slide it on, and then this is going to go in here. I'm sorry, in between them. Because this goes in and gets stuck stationary. That allows the piston then to only come back. Let's say we put a stroke limiter that's that thick, so the piston can't go all the way back. Why? Because the nose assembly itself, instead of being inline, where it doesn't matter how far you pull, it's offset. So it has a set distance that it can travel. And they don't want to overload that because you can actually break the noses. So they do that. Okay, Malk, we need 505-791 O-ring. You get that?
Yeah, I'm getting it. Yeah.
And we need 2 backup rings. Oh, I'll help you with that. Let's see. Backup rings are 113,754. Huh?
Now we're getting there, slowly but surely. Oh, 505-791, that's the over.
You want to take up the backup?
What was the backup?
Yep.
again?
Yep. Okay, this is for the piston. Oh, I'm sorry. It was rule of thumb on any tool.
Backup ring.
Backup O-ring always goes towards the oil side. Always faces the oil. So when this goes on your piston, it's this way. There's no oil out here, so the backup ring would go on the back side. Yep. And if you're not sure, look at the print. Because we do put them on the right way.
When all fails.
Right. You'll see that it shows that the O-ring is in the front, and then the backup ring.
Okay.
Okay?
Is that the right backup ring?
No.
I don't think so. That's inside, huh?
That's the internal one, yeah.
Could be, but I didn't give the...
Or is that the one?
Oh, no, you know what? That is the internal. See?
Internal is two.
Yeah, here you go, right here.
There we go.
That's the 2 we pulled.
One is white.
The inside, yeah.
Yeah, they're the inside ones.
Okay. Now it goes on this side.
Correct. Okay, Milk, we need... That should feel a little bit better.
That one's inside.
Okay? Okay, so that is your... Well, your only one? 113,251.
That's 2, right?
251.
Right, why is there 2? We got oil on both directions, and it's high pressure oil on both directions.
There you go, 251.
Well,
Away from the oil.
right, but remember, when you have oil on this side, then it's pushing that way. When you have oil on the other side, it's pushing that way.
So it's for when the pressure
Yeah.
goes against that. Okay.
Right. So when you have oil on both sides, you use a backup ring on both sides.
Seems kind of loose. That's all right.
If it's too loose, we tighten them up, you know, but nah, that's going to be good.
Okay.
Now I'm going to come in here and just hook it. Now this is the quads, this is the seal,
Oh, okay.
and that's called a poly seal. I think they call that one a poly.
It's like a lip seal
Right.
with an O-ring inside.
Now in here is also, down there, oh no, there's another one called a wiper ring.
You've got it there somewhere, I put it here.
If it's real dirty and you want to clean it out, just take over the
Oh, we're going to pull it out and then we'll clean it. But here, this is what a wiper looks like. And you can, when we're done, I'll bring it up to the camera. Yeah, it's in there.
It's just like a regular lip seal.
Right, I'm going to come in from this side. Right there. This is the seal that I just took out.
Right.
And right down here is another one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let me see if I can hook it and we'll get it out of there.
Is that the brand new one?
Yep, that's a brand new.
This is where these sharp things come in real handy.
Yeah. Oh, real nice.
I'm digging in now.
This is the flat.
So that's going to go this way. I'm going to put it in from here. And what you can do is you can get it in to the point. I think they put those cuts in there to make it flex easier.
Maybe.
There we go. All I'm doing right now is pushing against it and rolling it in. Sometimes you have to help it a little here, but eventually, got most, not all of it, but most of it is in. Okay, this is going to get fit right into that groove, and it's an undercut. we're just going to put it down in and lightly push it in place. And you'll see when he goes to do it. I'm going to let you guys can do it. I've done enough of them. If you drop that in there, you'll see all you're going to have to do is bend just a little bit to get it in. I don't like that. It's easier to pop this apart. This is our reservoir, right? Normally I don't take them apart if they're not leaking, but if you're going to rebuild the whole tool, okay, what you have here is there's a spring in a guy. Can you see that okay? A spring in an outer housing, and then in here will be another spring. When it's working right. A second spring, right? And then this is your piston plunger. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to the oil from going all over me, and I still got it all over me. And just grab it. Okay, and here's your piston. Right here's the piston. Okay, and that piston normally has one spring in it, and the other spring will go in here. Okay, and what seals that is a little tiny quad ring right here, no backup, just a simple quad ring, four-sided ring. Hard to see on the camera, but it's got four sides. With the, there's the seat that we talked about. There's your seat. Can you see it in there? Yeah. So it's the other side. And if you look, there's just a little tiny edge. Quad ring sits right there, right on that edge.
Okay.
So just put it in and push it down with, you can use this.
Okay.
Or I actually like this because this doesn't have any sharp point on it. That's a good device. Yeah, that might be hard because it's on an angle. So you could use this. This probably wouldn't hurt it. A little bit of the grease, just a little light coating of grease.
Right here?
Right on that fat part, yeah. That's good. I'm going to push that in, right? More oil squirting out. Okay, and we're just going to run this back in. Now, what's the way that quad ring works? When this comes down onto the quad ring, it seals it down, and at the same time, it puts squeeze around the inner part too. So it squeezes all the way around. Okay. And that's all you're going to need to do on that. Take your Allen wrench. I like to, on these two, if it looks like that the Vibratite has been like all off, put a little blue Loctite on there and just tighten it up. This one still had a lot of gop on it from the first time around. Okay? Now we're going to put the whole thing back together. 3, 2012, 2025, you need to use the tools because you'll damage. What I recommend is a little in here, and then we're going to put this on and put it together as an assembly.
Okay. It's already greased.
Oh, you already did. You're a good man.
This one?
Yeah, just you're going to have to wiggle it to get it on. That's it. Right, slide it right on.
All the way?
Yep.
Okay.
Make sure it goes with that bevel facing forward. Okay? Now, when you put this together, let's put a little grease on the inside. You want grease right here, right there, and right there. You know, I mean, those areas.
Right.
Not like a round piston. So I'm just going to put that in like this. You can push down on it. Careful. Now hold on. What I like to do, and that's what I don't like about the use it. It kind of went in a little bit tighter than what I wanted. There it goes. Okay. What I like to do to get these in is just on a piece of wood like this, right? Just hold your fingers here.
Okay.
And just lightly tap it to get it started. Okay. A little bit more. Okay, you see how that's down in like that? Mm-hmm. Then what I do, and I only like to do this because it just makes it easier.
Square. Right.
Is take this, right? And you can usually run it down until it'll start to get tight. If it starts to get tight, and if you can run it in by hand like this, you know you didn't hurt anything. Now this is starting to come out, so you're gonna, see, that's why I don't like these, because now it makes it hard to tap it. Now, that is in. We're going to push the piston forward, but now you can push it. It's going to be tight. You may have to tap it to get it going. All new seals. Wait, put it back on this.
And then take it back out.
Okay, you ready? Here's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Okay, and then normally you can screw that off by hand. There you go.
Beautiful.
He's gonna do a lot of editing, I can see that.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Now, we're ready to put the head back on. We're not gonna put any of this stuff back in, okay? Because we're gonna have to rebleed the tool. The only thing we need, when I say we're not putting, what we need to put back in, you'll notice that this is even on both sides, so it doesn't matter how it goes in. So what we're going to want to do is we want to put this in and the cap in. And this is just going to be for the bleeding process. The reason I want this in is A, we don't want oil leaking out, and the other reason is that we don't want that seat to shift around. That sleeve holds that seat in place. Okay? So we're just going to run this back in, and it'll go down flush, maybe a little bit below flush is normal. That one happens to be flush. And if this screw is loose, you want to make sure that's tight back there, but it is. So this is ready to go back onto the tool and get bled. The last thing we'll do after we bleed the tool, we will put all of the check valves and everything back in it. Okay? On those. Okay? And I'll give Malcolm the part numbers while you're taking that apart.
Just the gaskets?
Yeah, just take the seals off. They're static, so I wouldn't even mess with the backup rings. 776. There should be a 77. Number we can't read, but that would be, I didn't get to that one, that was over here. That's that one. Again, O-ring goes to the oil side. There's oil on the bottom of the gland, and there's oil on the top of the gland. So the O-ring is on the outside here and on the outside there. Same thing on his gland. Okay?
Okay, hold yours out. Okay, hold it right there. Good.
Now, if you look on your tool here, large is in the front, small is in the back. So we're going to put them in the same way. We're going to go with the large one in the front. I like to put them in the tool first. Even though when we took it apart, they stuck in the head, it's easier to put it back together, I think, going in the other direction. So this is what I've always done. I'm going to put the small one in the back and the larger one in the front.
Do we have to grease them up?
I'm not going to put a lot of grease on these because I'm going to put just a little bit on these outer ones. There's a very large chamfer, and sometimes if you get too much grease on these, it makes it harder to get them together. Okay? You want to keep your oil away from there. Now, I find it easier to put oil in it now, okay, so that when we bleed it, we're not taking all the oil out of a bottle and putting it in. And you get less air in, and the tool bleeds faster. Never fill this all the way up, okay? This particular one, you really should only go about half, but you can go up to here. You want to leave room for expansion. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some right out of here and we'll fill it back up again. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to overfill this. I'm just going to bring it up right to the top, just like that. I don't want to get too much because I don't want to put this in here and have the oil squeeze out. Then you'll think you got a leak between the handle and the head. So actually I'm going to take just a little bit out. I don't know if you can see that. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, we can see.
Oops. Now, let me wipe it out so you can see.
Just on this side, you don't have to pour.
I'm going to put a little in there too.
Okay, cool.
And I'm just going to wiggle it down and just kind of work it down. That's it. Let's get our 4 screws on.
Two.
And go around them a couple times to make sure that they're tight. The material costs down. We're going to put on, again, now this procedure I'm showing you is what I like to do. You read the book, it should be basically what I'm telling you. But I'm going to show you tricks that I've learned just from being out there. Now this is going to be a pain in the neck because of the